right? So I want to invite you to come to a Spanish Zoom meeting this Saturday, and that's going to be January 30th to on Saturday at 5:45 a.m. Again, my name is Franklin, and this is first1000hours.com. Sorry for my jumbled words, but anyway, I want to show this to you. And this right here is the people that got to come out to the last Spanish Zoom meeting that I went to at GYC Costa Rica, and I'll be explaining that today in this live stream. So I just want to go on to more things in my presentation. Again, you're invited to come to a prayer and devotional GYC Costa Rica Zoom meeting this Saturday. That's going to be January 30th, 2021 at 5:45 a.m. Central Time. And some of you might say, "Whoa, that's pretty early, Franklin." We're going to talk about that a little bit as well, but I think it still will be worth it. And the information to sign up and come is in the description of this video. I want to say hello to Language Learning Lover. Hola, it's nice to see you here as well in the live chat. And please feel free to ask me any questions as well about this event. So I think we need to talk about why. Why am I talking about this? Why am I inviting you? I know this is kind of atypical on language learning channels. I don't know of one language learning channel that has invited people to come to a Zoom meeting, a Spanish Zoom meeting, in a Christian Zoom meeting that is a language learning channel. If you know of a channel, I'd be interested to know of a channel like that. So I know it's a little unique and different. But let me talk about why. Okay, so in my opinion, going to Spanish churches has been the closest experience I've had to being in a foreign Spanish speaking country. Okay, hello Rochelle, nice to see you here as well. Hola. All right, so that's one reason. Another reason is that I want to give an experience instead of just talk about one. I can talk a lot on YouTube and tell you about what I've done and I like to document my Spanish journey and all that stuff. And from the beginning of First 1,000 Hours, I've talked about going to a Spanish church. And I could tell you stories, which I'm going to be talking about my stories here in this specific Zoom meeting. But at the same time, I think it's better to also combine that with experiences that you can have for yourself as well. Because I believe one of the reasons why you're here is because you want to grow in language learning, or you might want to grow in Spanish as well. All right, and let's continue. I think that this also will give you contact with native Spanish speakers. I'm not a native Spanish speaker, so that's something you'll get. You'll get higher quality Spanish. And what I mean by that as well is the nice thing about going to a meeting like this as well is that it's different than going to a meeting where there's all the meeting is with a lot of learners that are learning a language. And I have seen that difference myself. And so you're going to have higher quality Spanish. And another other thing that's nice is when you have a lot of native Spanish speakers together speaking, they're probably going to speak, or the likelihood that they're going to speak in Spanish is greater. And the other thing is it's different than having a one-on-one conversation with a native. They might adapt their speech to you, but when you're with a lot of natives together, they're just going to speak how they would probably normally speak, which is going to give you a higher quality Spanish and an opportunity to interact with more of a challenge, but I think it's a blessing as well. You have an opportunity to grow in a community in Spanish, and I think that's a helpful thing as well, an ability to use Spanish in a practical way. I like to be able to, instead of just trying to study a language, I like to be able to use a language in a practical way. And so I get to go to this meeting, and as a result of me going to this meeting, I'm using my Spanish as well. Even if it just means I'm listening, I'm still using Spanish. And I've been to GYC Latin America. They had a virtual event. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. And so I've already been to something like that, and I've been to 2 of these meetings already this January. And it's an opportunity to grow in biblical themes. So I like the fact of being able to follow interests in Spanish and still be able to use Spanish at the same time. So those are some of the reasons why I'm talking about this. And this is some of the people at GYC Costa Rica that I got to interact with. And so I should probably tell you, you might be wondering, okay, one of the questions is, what is GYC. Okay, GYC um, is stands for Generation of Youth for Christ, and so it is like a movement of. Okay, GYC, and I see your question, language learning lover. I will answer that question. And GYC stands for Generation of Youth for Christ, and it's a movement started by Seventh-day Adventists to encourage young people to grow in their connection with the Lord and to be witnesses for Him. Those are some of the things about GYC that it stands for, and so it's bigger than a movement of Spanish-speaking people. It's like a worldwide movement, I would say, and I've been to some of the conferences in the United States, and I'll be talking about that as well. But it also definitely has a distinct Spanish presence as well. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to answer both of your questions right now, and we'll continue in the presentation. Language learning lover or Kina, you said this: in your estimation, what is the percentage of Spanish that you understand during these meetings? I would say a rough estimate would probably be around 90%. Now, it can fluctuate. Like, we were just in a meeting before this. Like, we were in a meeting, I would say sometimes, I don't know, it fluctuated that time, maybe being between maybe 60% to 90%. It's kind of just depended. But I can understand a lot of Spanish. And then, Rochelle, you said, can people only come as observers? And I would say, yes, you can. But I think you also need to be prepared a little bit to speak. Okay, so for the most part, I did not speak in both of those meetings. But then what happened for the last time is that they had the prayer time was, we had around like 25 people that came. And so the prayer time was where we broke up into different rooms. I'm assuming that we broke up into 4 rooms. I don't know how many rooms we broke up into, but in my room, there was 8 people in the room. Okay, so then it's a little bit closer instead of just having 25. And so they asked, what are your prayer requests and all of that. And so no one had to say anything if you didn't want to. You could be quiet, but you should come with the expectation that people might ask for what are your prayer requests, or what are your praises or something like that. That's what they asked as well. And so you can prepare already and think, okay, ¿qué es su peticiones? Or something like that. Know what that word is, and then maybe come with a prayer request. Or when we start going into the prayer session, maybe know kind of what you want to pray about or something like that. You can come a little bit prepared for those type of things. But no one had to say anything. Okay, so I would just come anyway and put your foot in the water is fine. All right. And all right, so and I'll talk to you more about the format as well, so you can see again some of the people that were there at the GYC Zoom meeting. I think that's all of the people when we took the picture at the end that were in the meeting, and I think it's going to grow. So okay, so what did we do? How many people have come, and what should you expect the Zoom meetings to be like? And I see what you said, Rochelle. De nada, I should say, because you said gracias, so de nada. So what we did, I got there about 5:45 a.m. Again, I said I've gone to 2. I've gone to both of their first 2 meetings that they've had on Saturdays at 5:45 a.m. I should tell you, this is something that's reoccurring. So it's not just for this Saturday, but it's going to be reoccurring. But I'm specifically asking you to come for this Saturday so that you don't miss out. And I could just say it's going to be reoccurring, and then you might come 5 months from now. But I'm encouraging you to come this Saturday. So when I got there at 5:45 a.m., there was a video that was playing. It was like a Christian song. The first time I came, the first Saturday. And the second Saturday, what they did, instead of playing a song, there was someone that actually played the ukulele, I believe. And so she was actually able to sing some songs. So we had like a live person that was singing. So I thought that was nice. And then we went into the prayer portion. And so the first time that we did the prayer portion, it was in a group. That time we had around 29 simultaneous people in the Zoom meeting. So I think in the prayer session, it might have been like at that point, maybe 28 people or something like that. And so we did the prayers in different sections. So I believe there was 3 sections at least. in which we prayed, and these were just really short prayers. You could pray like a one sentence prayer. So it's not like you had to pray a very long prayer. And it was done where they had a thankfulness section, which is agradecimientos section. There was also a confession section. And so it's not talking about specific sins. It's more in general, like, Lord, we are sorry that we have lacked time to spend with you, or something like that. You don't need to go into a lot of detail on confession. And then there's also a supplication section as well. So you could join if you wanted to. So you'd hear someone speak, and then you could just join in with the prayer after they finish. And that's what we did. So there's a lot of opportunities to pray, because people would wait until people would wait a while before they would end the different sections of prayer. And they ended that with the different sections with someone, I think, singing. And then they went into the next section. And then also in the prayer section, that's a time where I've seen people just disactivate their cameras or stop their camera and just really focus on the prayer part. All right, and then after that, we go into, like, we're looking at the early church, we're looking at Acts. And so in the first, I should tell you, before I get to that, the second time we had the prayer section, the session on the next Saturday, the past Saturday, it was when people broke into groups. And so it was a little bit more intimate. And so instead of everybody praying that time, there was 2 people that prayed. In my section that had 8 people, but everybody could give their things that they were thankful for, and they could also give their prayer requests. And then someone, I think, prayed, I forgot exactly, but someone might have just prayed for, like, the thanks part, and then someone prayed for the prayer request. But actually, I think they might have prayed for both of them. I forgot, okay? I forgot what they exactly did. But then what happened is, for the first meeting we had on the Saturday, people came back. Everybody never split up on that one. But what we did is we had like 4 people or so, 3 or 4 people that led out and talking about Acts, and especially Acts 1. And then not necessarily reading exactly Bible verses on that, but talking about principles from the early church. And so they would lead out in the discussion, and then they ask questions, and then people could answer and respond to them. And so for the second meeting, there was, I believe, just one person that led out, if I remember correctly, and then she was able to talk about that. So what you can do is you can sign up for coming to the GYC. And so there's a link in the description of this video. And so then people will email you the Zoom link, and they will also email you kind of what we're going to be looking at for this week. Okay. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. And the nice thing about signing up like that as well is then you can be notified of other meetings that will happen as well throughout the year. And so that's why I haven't really directly given the Zoom link for this one. I will encourage you to sign up so you can be part of more of a community and an ongoing thing instead of just an event. Okay, and what I would say as far as what to expect, I want you to come to that meeting not worrying so much about, okay, I'm going to make a mistake or all of this stuff, and having to do a disclaimer and say, hey, I'm not the best Spanish speaker. People are going to know, how you speak Spanish. You don't have to be worried about that or whatever. Focus on the meeting. Focus on really coming there to participate and being with these young people that want to pray together and pray with you. And you can come prepared, like I said, know kind of what your prayer requests are already. And even if you have to get out Google Translate and type it in English and then figure out what should I say in Spanish, and then come with that. You can even, if you didn't even want to specifically even speak, you could even write that in the chat when it comes to the prayer request time. But know kind of what people might ask when they're asking, like, what is your prayer request, and kind of know what that means in Spanish. All right, and so that's what you can do, and that's some of the expectations. And I should say, why should you come at 5:45 a.m.? All right, so that's a big question, I would say, because that's pretty early. That's kind of a level of dedication that's kind of pretty serious, and maybe a little bit radical to come at a meeting at 5:45 a.m. But for me, I want you to imagine what would you do if you had an opportunity to go to Costa Rica? Would you get on a plane flight at 5:45? Let's say it's a Monday or something, and your plane is needing to leave at 5:45. Would you get on that plane, or would you say, man, that's too early to get on a plane to go to Costa Rica? Now, for myself, I have taken early morning flights. That's normally what I've done, because those flights typically are a little bit cheaper, and at the same time, I like to, if I want to get to my destination, I want to still enjoy the day. And I want you to think that, you don't even have to do that. You don't have to go to an airport. You don't have to, pack your suitcases. You don't have to do any of that. What you're able to do is just basically turn on Zoom. You could deactivate your camera. You don't even have to show your face. Some people don't do that. And then you can start participating with people from Costa Rica. Mainly it's Costa Rica. And there are some people that come from other countries as well. There's somebody from Colombia that came to the last meeting. All right, and so what are some potential opportunities that can come from going to this Zoom meeting? So I want to talk a little bit about this. I know I shared this at my Ask Me Anything Zoom meeting, but I want to show you a little bit more pictures here, and be a little bit more specific and share with you my story. And this might help you as you think about what can come about in doing this. If you can see, you'll see that this is a picture again of that Zoom meeting that we had last Saturday. And so to the right of my picture is this guy named Harrison. And so I had met him at GYC Kentucky. And so I have a picture here. I was with other people in this picture, but I just cropped them out. And so you'll see Harrison in this picture. And I didn't know who he was actually, but I took a picture with him. And then I started I was on Facebook and I got tagged in a picture, and he was in that picture with me. And so I actually added everybody onto Facebook as Facebook friends that was in that picture. And I started talking about my Spanish journey and how I like Spanish and all of that. And then one day what happened is Harrison said, hey, I want to encourage you in Spanish. And he kept on encouraging me and all that stuff. But then one day he said, hey, I know someone that wants to learn English more, and you want to learn Spanish, so you should connect. And that was my friend Blanca. And so we're just friends, and we got to actually meet at GYC Houston. I didn't think that was going to happen. She was my language partner and all of this, and we did a language exchange for 9 months. But then she actually was able to come to the United States for the first time, and we could interact, and I got to meet some of her friends. And some of those friends are people that actually are part of GYC Costa Rica, and one of them is Rebecca, and Rebecca is at the top right. And so Rebecca is someone that is actually, if I'm not mistaken, she is the president. She is, or she has been the president of GYC Costa Rica, and she has been leading out in GYC Costa Rica. And so it was nice to see her as well, someone that I had met when I went to GYC Houston. And so I got to meet her. And then in December, last December, I went to a virtual conference where I got to interact with a lot of Spanish-speaking people at GYC Latin America. And so we had a Zoom meeting, and sometimes the Zoom meetings would have over 100 people in the Zoom meeting. So I connected with them, and then what happened is I got on a WhatsApp list. And so that was pretty interesting, because then I could find out, okay, what are some things that they might be doing in the future? And I knew that if I found out something that I thought would be relevant to First 1,000 Hours, I was going to share that with people. And so one thing that I thought was interesting is I got to find out that about something about a Spanish book club that is starting. And so there's going to be a Zoom meeting about reading this book that I have read in Spanish already. It's called El Discurso del Maestro. And so the English title is called Thoughts from the Mount of Blessings. And so on February 7th, on a Sunday at 5:30 Colombian time, and I think that's Central Time if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to be able to be in a book club where I'm going to be discussing with someone else a Spanish book. And so I'll be able to reread that book in Spanish with these people. And then at the same time, I will be able to interact with them on Zoom. So I thought that is pretty fun. And at this point in January, I've already gone through 11 Zoom meetings. And so it's only right now is January 26th. And I can imagine that I will probably have gone through around maybe 100 Zoom meetings when 2021 ends or more, because of all these opportunities that I have to go through meetings with GYC Costa Rica, as well as other meetings that I've talked about in the past as well. So I want to give you opportunities. I want to give you experiences. I hope that you'll come out to GYC Costa Rica. And I'm glad that you all were able to come here to this live chat. If you have any questions, you can leave comments in the description of this video. And I would encourage you as well to join my email list. The email list link is in the description as well. And I send links as well to different Zoom meetings and all that, and keep you up to date with Zoom meetings that you might want to come to. And I want to put a video about my experience going to GYC Latin America, the virtual conference. And I'm also going to put a video that YouTube recommends, and I hope to see you in the next video.